car. Okay, I'm not gonna get any traction. Yep. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the all-new Kia K5 GT. Before getting this video though, a huge shout out thank you to the Jerry Signer Kia here in Salt Lake City, Utah for giving me some time with this K5. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. If you have any questions or need any help, just ask for Patrick. And if you don't know, the Jerry Signer Kia does not charge any sort of markups over MSRP. So if you want a great deal on a Kia, reach out to them. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money, the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below as well. Let's get into it. So under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2.5 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. It produces 290 horsepower at 5,800 RPMs and then 311 pound-feet of torque at only 1,600 RPMs, and then it peaks off at 4,000 RPMs. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood here, it's covered in snow, and so there's not a lot to see. But you do have sharp lines on either side, and then you guys can see the new style Kia logo. But popping down below, you guys can see the orange daytime running lights with the LED headlights. Those look really cool. And then look at like the grille, how it's darker in coloration. The white kind of makes everything disappear. But parking sensors in the front end, and then look at the trim here on the side as well. And putting it all together, the K5 GT just looks so cool. Coming around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 245/40/19 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see we've got kind of like the silver trim there on the top of the wheel, and it's darker below that. My favorite thing though is look at the caliper, it says GT on it. Look at the cut there in the fender, and then you guys can see we've got the blacked out mirror cap, and then notice the roof is also blacked out as well. And putting it all together, this has the normal K5 styling, which I don't think is a bad thing because it looks great. So here's our key fob. You guys can see we have the remote start function there. We've got our lock function or unlock function, and then the opening here for the hatch. And so, boom. I just realized I said hatch, I meant trunk. Anyways, you can see we've got these pull tabs here for these seats to lower them down so you can get even more storage space. But, I mean, the K5 is actually pretty dang spacious, especially considering the size. When you're all done, just plop that down, and then you actually have this button that you can press to open it up if you don't want to use the key fob. Now we've got this low profile blacked out spoiler. You guys can see again the new style Kia logo there. And then notice we've got our GT badge here on the side, and then you have your K5 badge there on the other side. We've got parking sensors here at the bottom, and then look at the diffuser here. It looks pretty cool. And then exhaust tips on either side. That's aggressive. And when you put it all together, just like other K5s, it's just a good looking car all around. And I like the light bar design on the back end too. I think it looks great. Now taking a look at the rear door panel here, you guys can see darker trim, and then look at the silver trim that goes across, and then you can see the red stitching with all of the padding. Got our window control right there, and then one of the speakers for the sound system. And then taking a look at these seats, you can see again with the red stitching, the notice perforated in the center, but you also have those little like cloth inserts there on the seat as well. Now in the back of the K5, you can see the legroom's good. We got a little storage pocket here. We've got some vents in the center, and then some USB action down below. And then headroom's also solid back here. And for those of you wondering, it does in fact have a cup holder armrest. With the front door panel, you guys can see again the darker trim, and look at the silver trim that goes across, and then all of our red stitching and padding as well. All of our window controls, the door lock and unlock, and then you've got your mirror adjustments. The mirrors do power fold in, and we've got memory seat functionality and blind spot monitoring in the mirrors. Really cool looking front seat. Notice the GT logo there, and then again perforated in the center. You do have the little like inserts there on either side, and then look at like the red piping and stitching, and then we have our power adjustments here on the side. Really cool look with the vent there, and then down below you guys can see for the lane departure stability control, the opening for the trunk, and then the steering wheel manually adjustable. Now taking a look at the steering wheel itself, really nice padding all around with the darker stitching. You got the GT logo here at the bottom with the Kia logo in the center. We do have adaptive cruise control with steering assist. We've got our volume voice command controls there on the other side with paddle shifters here on the back for the 8-speed automatic. Turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock. Now with the gauge cluster, mostly analog, but we do have a screen here in the center which we can use to scroll through different bits of info on the K5. And then we've got a bunch of different drive modes. So we've got a sport mode, which is very important when you've got as much power as this car has. And then you've got the Sport Plus mode, which disables traction control. Not sure if we'll use that today since it's 34 degrees and snowing. And then you got your custom mode and normal mode. So pretty cool setup. Now in reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. We also have that bird's eye view as well, and you can see you've got different viewpoints here with the camera system, including on the side, which I find really cool. And I mean, it doesn't really need a 360 camera system being as small as it is, but it's great to have. Now as to the rest of the infotainment system, we have shortcut buttons here on the side of the screen to like just basically instantly take you into different menus. But with the screen itself, response time is fantastic, and it's just Kia's normal infotainment systems. There's not much else to say. I want to mention fit and finish inside here is just so top notch, and like look at the dash too. Definitely a great job with the overall build quality. And then yes, we've got our dual zone climate controls just down below, and then you guys can see we've got some USB action here in this little storage area is what we'll call it. Shifter for that 8-speed automatic transmission. We've got a couple cup holders right next to that with our auto hold, parking brake. This is for the camera, your parking sensors. And then you guys can see for the heated and cooled seats, it's this cool little switch system that you can do either side. So like blue for cool, and then orange for heat. I don't know, I think it's fun. And then you got your heated steering wheel button there, drive mode select, and then this is like our wireless phone charging pad. It's this kind of weird like bucket type thing. Definitely a little bit over-engineered, but at the same time it'll definitely hold your phone. And whoa, yeah, decent storage space there with center console, and then look at the nice stitching. And then of course, normal glove box. And then up top here, you've got our control for the panoramic sunroof, which is another nice feature. Now, I don't have the window sticker on hand, but this car after destination is gonna be somewhere in like the $33,000, $34,000 range, roughly. I might be off by a little bit, but anyways, let's see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors just do blind spot monitoring. Then put the rest of the rear. And let's set off in the K5 GT. I think this is a really exciting car. Now, the one downside about this that I'll say right away is the fact that it's only front wheel drive. I do think that there's definitely a market for an all-wheel drive version of this powertrain. Now obviously you can get the K5 GT line, but that's like around 200 horsepower. This obviously being closer to 300, right? It's a little bit more exciting. So I think that's something that, you know, Kia should consider, is putting the all-wheel drive setup from the GT line into this. And let's adjust the GoPro a little bit. First off, really smooth actually. Brakes are kind of touchy. Like you can actually, I can tell you, I just drove a GT line like a couple days ago, and you can tell, you can tell the difference. These brakes are a little bit touchier. Ooh, tons of torque. Yeah, way more than the GT line. That is for sure. There's a big perceivable difference in terms of the torque with the car. Ride quality is pretty good. I will say though, it also feels a little bit stiffer than the GT line. You can tell that, you know, Kia's put quite a bit into this to make this just feel sportier. We got the train tracks of doom and gloom. Actually, it looks like they just lifted, so we're changing direction again. I have so many bad memories of coming up to this specific set of train tracks and just sitting there for like 10-20 minutes as a train goes by. It's always miserable. But anyways, back to the review. Pop it into the sport mode first. I want to kind of, yeah, it moves. I will do an acceleration in Sport Plus a little bit later, but see how the Sport is. Yeah, this definitely is firmer than the K5 GT line. So if you want kind of a sportier drive, and I think when we take a turn here, I think that'll really show it. So some of you might like that, some of you might not. Okay. Oh yeah, definitely firmer. A little bit of wheel spin there, a little bit. Actually not really wheel spin, I'd say more of like the traction control system cutting in and cutting power so it doesn't. But yeah, that's the thing, when you put this much power into a front wheel drive car, you're gonna naturally get a little bit of wheel spin, and it's probably some wheel hop as well. I want to see how the manual shifts are. Whoa, yeah. Wow. Quick shifts, but I will say is revs climb up high, because again, you get the wheels are the tires rather are struggling to get traction. Now again, wet surface, it's like, what, 32 degrees outside, so obviously, you know, any two-wheel drive car is going to struggle to get traction in these conditions, whether it has tons of power or not, and this having tons of power definitely leads to that. I do want to talk about the seats for a second. They're very comfortable. They have like really nice padding to them. I think that Kia's done a good job with these seats. They look really cool. Like the interior on the K5 just always impresses me like a lot. It's just such a nice like feeling and looking interior, especially considering the price point. You gotta remember, this is like a $30,000 car. Okay, I'm not gonna get any traction. Yep. Yep. Man, this thing's fast though. Once it you know hooks up, this is like the Hellcat of the front wheel drive world. Gosh, people are gonna make fun of me for saying it, but seriously, like it kind of gives you the same experience as like, it literally is like a front wheel drive Hellcat. That's funny. So setting things up with K5 GT, I think it looks really cool. I think it drives really well. The only thing that I see like going against this is the fact that it's front wheel drive. So for some of you that live in climates where you don't get winter, not gonna be a big deal. Even if you have winter, if you put, you know, snow tires on this, front wheel drive cars do great in the snow. I've had several press cars where I've even just had all seasons and they've done fine in the snow. So like if you got good tires, you'll be fine. You don't need all-wheel drive. That being said though, with the traction issues that this car suffers from, I think that all-wheel drive would help it, even, you know, in conditions that aren't inclement, because like, yeah, you can do a limited slip differential, you can do all this fancy tech, but like at the end of the day, it's still a front wheel drive car and you're gonna have traction limits because of that. And so I would say that Kia I think they should make this all-wheel drive, or at least have all-wheel drive as an option that you can get on this. Obviously, it'd make it more expensive. I think people would be willing to pay it though, frankly. It's such a good looking car. It has an amazing interior, it drives really well. And even if they, you know, tacked on another $2,000 onto the price to make it all-wheel drive, it's still significantly less expensive than a lot of other cars that have similar performance to this. I mean, I just drove a BMW 3 Series recently, for example. That's a $50,000 car, and I feel like this gives you a lot of the stuff that you get in that 3 Series for $20,000 less. Let me know what you guys think. That's gonna sum things up with our video on this K5 GT. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Jerry Sander Kia here in Salt Lake City, Utah for giving me some time with this K5. Check out the intro in the description down below. Ask for Patrick. I'll see ya.